Ecosystem services, how nature gives back to us. You may know that trees give us clean air. They take in carbon dioxide and give us oxygen that we need to breathe. But did you know that this is just the tip of the iceberg? This is a service that nature provides for us called ecosystem services. There are a variety of ecosystem services divided into 4 categories. They range from provisioning, including fruits, vegetables, meat, wood, fiber, and fresh water; supporting, including nutrient cycling, photosynthesis, primary production; regulatory, which includes climate, floods, water purification, and pollination; and cultural, which includes recreation, spiritual enrichment, cognitive development, and identity. Beyond that, these services can actually be quantified into how much they contribute to our economy. This is done by essentially calculating how much it would cost us humans to provide these services for ourselves. Take, for instance, pollination. It is estimated that pollinators like bees, birds, bats, butterflies, and other insects provide about $500 billion annually for the world economy. Honeybees alone in the United States pollinate about $15 billion worth of crops each year. What are these ecosystem services and who created it? In 1997, there were 2 publications that kicked off the field of combining ecology and economics: a book written by Gretchen Daily and a paper published in Nature by Constanza et al. There have been previous works had brought up services that nature provides humanity, but these were the first publications that fully brought together the concept of services of ecosystems and an economical value that could be calculated for this. Constanza et al. Gave the total value of ecosystem services for the entire Earth as a GNP of US $33 trillion. The annual worldwide GNP in 1997 was only $18 trillion. Other studies over the years have come up with various values, but one thing stays consistent. The value of ecosystem services is comparable to our worldwide economy, and if we considered this value in our economy, the global price system would look very different. How can we quantify the value of these ecosystem services? There are multiple ways that an ecosystem service can be evaluated. The main method is assigning a value to a service based on how much a human would be willing to pay for it. How much are you willing to pay for a bottle of fresh water? How much are you willing to pay for a recreational activity? How much damage is done to our infrastructure due to flooding along rivers with no more riparian zones? How many of our crops will die if there aren't any pollinators to do the pollinating? These are just some basic questions to ask, but it is important to note that these are all subjective. The amount of money a person is willing to pay for a bottle of fresh water is going to vary, and keep in mind this price is not based on the value you see in the grocery store. That water is priced based on our economy and does not take into account the economic benefits of nature. Constanza et al. In 1997 said, if ecosystem services were actually paid for in terms of their value contribution to the global economy, the global price system would be very different from what it is today. Why are ecosystem services important, and how can we use them to justify conservation efforts? In our modern day, it's easy to see nature as unlimited and free resources that we can use for economic profit. But beyond just giving us raw materials, there are unseen forces that are essential for human survival provided to us by nature. Just how much money would it take for us to create our own clean air and clean water? The amount of money that it would take to create machines and factories for this purpose, and the amount of labor it would require, would cost our economy more than it would to keep these ecosystems healthy and intact enough to provide it for us. Leaving a forest standing still gives our economy many benefits. It's more than just raw materials like wood and land for development. It's also clean air, carbon sequestration, biodiversity, cultural and recreational, water filtration and watershed maintenance, erosion control, and many other services. Using monetary values to define nature may seem cold-hearted to some people, but it is an important tool in our fight to conserve nature and defend it.